All right, start this off. Welcome to Rare Connection, the podcast where we connect rare disease patients, caregivers, and advocates, educate medical professionals, and explore ways to advance research and clinical trials for the 95% of rare conditions that lack FDA-approved treatments. I'm your host, Joanna, and I'm excited to bring you this episode now recorded rather than live to ensure the best experience for both guests and listeners. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Danielle, a dedicated parent of a child with phenylalanine ketonuria, or PKU, passionate advocate and author of children's books. Rosey Racoon Has PKU. This beautiful written story helps children and families understand PKU and is available on Amazon for $17.86 in the UK and $12.89 in the US. Before we begin, please remember that this podcast is for educational purposes only, educational and informational purposes only, and always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions about your medical care. Now let's dive into today's conversation with Danielle and learn more about her journey, advocacy, and inspiration behind her book. Danielle, can you share your story as a parent of a child with PKU, and how did the diagnosis impact your family's life?
So our daughter was diagnosed when she was 9 days old. Like many parents with PKU, we've never heard of a condition before, so getting that phone call was quite scary. I just remember that me and my husband was like so sleep deprived with a newborn, and we got a phone call to say, you need to come to the hospital now, because our daughter was tested through the heel prick test. Mm-hmm. So that obviously showed up it was PKU. So, we raced, we got ready. They explained on the phone what she had, which was PKU. And we immediately got into the car and we just started having a quick Google. Because you start to panic. You get told there's something wrong with your baby, you have to come see us right now. So we went to full-blown panic mode and just raced to the hospital, where we were met with the most wonderful bunch of doctors and nurses and a team that we could have ever asked for. They literally just swept us up, kind of like hugged us in a way, and just told us that everything would be okay. It's all confusing right now. But it will all eventually start to make sense and become normal life. And it has. Those first few weeks, we did so much research into PKU. We were really scared at first, and now we're not. We're completely taking it and, embracing it. It was scary, but it didn't really impact us as much. We just accepted for what it was and just adapted our way of living around our daughter's condition. Our motto has always been, we don't cry about it, we just get on with it. And that's what we've done. We've just got on with it. We've took advices from our parents and health professionals. We've researched, we experimented along the way with foods and stuff, and we're still learning every day. But now that we know what we're faced with, we wouldn't have our daughter any other way. She's perfect.
It's definitely something you will always learn about.
Absolutely.
What are some of the most challenging moments early on, and how did you navigate them?
I think the most challenging part for us was understanding what the levels meant when we did her blood tests every week. We knew what the safe range was, and then when she was ill for the first time, her levels spiked quite high. And we were just so scared that something like long term would happen to her, but obviously it didn't. Um, and it was just really useful for just chatting to people who've been in that same situation as us, to be like, oh no, our daughter's sick, her levels are really high, we're really scared, she's not herself, she's not eating. And she went off her formula, like the PKU start. And I was like, well, what do we do? And, again, spoke to all the health professionals, spoke to parents of other children in the same situation. And once we got through that first illness and first high level, it didn't seem as much as a challenge anymore. But as she's getting older, we are starting to notice her when her levels are high. And I do feel like as she is getting older, she used to go, like, I used to know if I was high when she would fall over a lot, for instance. But now it's because she's getting older, it's affecting her moods as well. So we're still dealing with that, trying to understand when it's just normal behavior and when it's high level behavior. So yeah, high levels for us at the moment of a challenging moment.
So what do you notice when her levels get high?
She gets really emotional and clingy. Like, she will just like stick to me, like to my, it was like this morning, we've had to do her bloods again this morning because I have a slight suspicion that they could be on the rise as she wouldn't eat her food. I only had to say something to her like, what are you doing? And she'd be in floods of tears and she wants to sleep more. And she doesn't sleep usually. She's really bad at sleeping. And this week she slept in longer than normal. And she's just not listening. It's like she's on tunnel vision as such. So, and like she seems unsettled. The thing I noticed for most, she seems unsettled, like she just can't rest. And that got me thinking, I think we're dealing with high levels. But last year, if you'd asked me that question last year, I'd be like, oh, she's just emotional and she falls a lot. But whereas now it's more.
So do you notice any difference when her levels are low?
When her levels are, they haven't been low for such a long time. They have been quite steady for us. But when they do, she has sort of similar traits in behavior, like the emotional. She'll say sometimes that her head hurts and she's not herself. But I mean, touch wood, we haven't dealt with any drastically low levels for a while. Probably she's due a development phase soon. But when her levels are in, I feel everybody has that perfect level for them. And my daughter's is around 210. And she's like, she's calm, she's settled, she'll eat, she'll play, you can talk with her. But when I start going up, I start to see, the emotional side of it, the clinginess, the not willing to listen, the falling over. And I'm like, okay. But I know other parents that I've spoken to, their child can have levels of 360 and they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. So it varies.
It varies, yeah, absolutely.
So what's her protein tolerance?
4.5 grams of protein a day. We've been stuck on that now for the last 2 years. We did get up to 7 at one point, and then it just dropped right back down.
Right.
I feel like we took so many steps forward and then we took about 10 steps back. And I don't think people who don't know PKU, I don't think they realise that you work so hard to get where you do with a protein allowance. And then you feel really great because like yes, we're on 7 grams of protein, we can have so much more freedom. And then it gets taken away and you're like, okay, back to square one. Here we are.
Yeah. So, see. Can you explain PKU in simple terms for listeners who may not be familiar with it?
Yeah, absolutely. When we get asked this question, I tell them that our body has amino acids, and phenylalanine is one of them. And in Elsie's, my daughter's form, she can't break it down as easily as we can. And that means she gets a build-up. And to treat it, she has medicine 3 times a day, and she's on a low protein diet for life. And then I just show them, like, I'll be like, look, she's on 4.5 grams of protein a day. That's, 2 cookies as summit, And when I put it into perspective for people that don't realize it, they understand it a bit more.
Got that. So, what was your child's PKU when was your so you already mentioned it was detected through newborn screening.
Yes.
How did you feel during the process? What improvements would you like to see?
So
what improvements would you like to see in the newborn screening?
Yeah, so we were told when we had my daughter, and I was like, right, do my heel prick test. It just tests for 13 different, like conditions that she may not have. And was like 9 out of 10 times, there's nothing to worry about, and no news is good news. And I was like, okay, so I left it really positive. But obviously we got a phone call. Like I think it was 9 days from the test. So it was almost like a 10-day clearance where we thought, oh, we can breathe. We hadn't heard anything. And the process itself was very simple, very quick and very easy. We felt very confident with it. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call and you're like, oh no. In terms of improvements, I think there's a little more knowledge given to parents on what they actually test for, because we wasn't given any leaflets, any information. We was just told, we're going to do a blood test on your daughter. It tests for these conditions and that's it. And that's all we got. So I'd like a little bit more information, like just something to say, we are testing for these conditions. So at least we could have done some research prior to that. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
So were you in the UK at the time?
Yes.
Or yeah.
Yeah, so it's different out here.
Yeah. So they gave you a choice.
No, it wasn't a choice. No, it was mandatory. It had to be done. I mean, we could have refused, but they would have like frowned upon it.
Yeah. How did you manage the dietary restrictions associated with PKU? Did you have any tips? Do you have any tips for families?
So I say again, a lot of research. And if you have a favorite cookbook at home, you can go through it. And I start to convert that into PKU friendly food. Because in our house, like from the day one, I said to my husband, she is going to be eating the same food as us, but we're making it safe for her so she is not left out. And that's always been my motto. She's not going to be left out. Because we're on a simplified diet, so some fruit and vegetables are free for us. So I try to use much free food as I can for her meals, and then I just match ours to it. I would just say it works really well for us to either do some like batch making, like at the start of a month, like little vegetable nuggets for her. I made some naan breads the other day because she's currently going through in a phase of not wanting to eat. So I'm trying new stuff with her. And the naan breads were so simple to make and they was really tasty, but now I've batch made them up so I can use them week after week if needs be. Soup has been a really good use for us as well, because again, it's so filling if you pair it with like low protein bread. We've struggled with the dietary restrictions, I would say, as finding what's good for her, what's going to fill her up at least, because every child goes through that phase where they just want to eat and eat and eat. And I'm like, there's only so much bread and pasta I can give her. And you're trying to, and I feel like, again, when I'm chatting to other like friends in our community who have children with PKU, we all say the same. We just seem to be giving snacks because we try to do a full meal and sometimes it doesn't seem enough. And then you don't know what else to give them. So you immediately turn to like fruit snacks, for instance, or like freeze-dried strawberries is the one she loves the most at the moment. The most expensive one out there. She loves it. Yeah, it's still tough. We haven't quite found our balance. I find like especially going out to eat is especially tough. We have 2 restaurants at the moment which we can trust to go to that we know will have something for her. Again, it's been tough around family and friends if I especially don't understand the condition as much. If I try to offer her something and she can't have it, I'm like, no, I brought her own. I bring her own lunch bag full of stuff. We're still struggling with it. We're getting there slowly, but one day we'll have it.
So are the medical foods covered in Maryland?
Yes, they are with our insurance. So we rely heavily on them because obviously they're free and they're safe for us to eat. So we're grateful that we have the staples of like bread and pasta available to us and rice. She's just recently got into rice, which I'm very thrilled about. It's opened up a whole new window of foods we can try for her. But we use Promin mainly because it's what she was used to back in the UK.
From stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're just getting started with it out in Oregon.
Yeah, it is good. Especially their pancake mix is really good. We make it into waffles and she loves it. She went through a whole phase last year where she had like 2 months straight of just eating waffles for breakfast. I was like, aren't you bored yet? She was like, no. I was like, okay.
Yeah, if you haven't tried their Moroccan pasta, it's the best.
Oh, okay. We'll have to give that a try. We do get some of the pasta in the sauces, but she wasn't a fan. I thought that was fine, but she was like, no. But she's also funny with textures, so.
Yeah, I add a little lemon juice to it, but it's actually pretty good.
Oh, okay. We'll have to try that one.
Are there any resources or are there any resources, recipes, or products that may that have any particular that have been particularly helpful to you?
So we use Vitaflow's website for their recipes a lot because they're quite friendly. But I've been following this one particular parent on Instagram. Her name is a low protein living, and she's just done a whole cookbook with low protein foods in, and it's really good. I've been like glued to it, trying out her recipes. They're all low protein, as I said. They're really yummy, and it's also kind of become a bit like my Bible at the moment because it's stuff that I know my daughter will probably have a try at, if not eat. But again, Instagram has been my biggest inspiration in terms of like foods to try because everybody has some they really enjoy making. The one thing my daughter loves in particular, I make these biscuits and I use cookie butter with low protein flour and a banana. And I use the small star shaped cutters. And I think out of one batch, I got like 100 little biscuits. And like the whole batch was like 2 grams of protein. So it was like, it should have like 3 or 4. I wouldn't really have to count them because 100 biscuits made me like, was 2 grams of protein. So we enjoy that recipe at the moment because it's quick, it's easy. She can get involved. She can mash up a banana. That seems to be our go-to. Yeah, I just ask everybody else what their favorite recipe is at the moment and get some inspiration because she's not eating. I'm like, throw some at me.
Yeah, I do some cooking videos on my YouTube channel also.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
Chef. So what inspired you to become an advocate for PKU awareness?
I think from the moment we found out our daughter had PKU, I instantly turned into this driven parent to do what I could to help. And I found I just got this passion for it, which I didn't think was possible. But my life is so surrounded, like we're living in the PKU world as such every day. And I've just thrown myself into the world that I just want to help all the time. And I want to, share our story out there. I want people to know that it's going to be okay. Like it seems scary at first. And talking to others, again, it's just made me realize, yeah, I feel like this is what I need to do.
Are there any particular projects or initiatives you're currently working on or passionate about?
Currently working on a couple of things. I'm currently working on a website, and I'm hoping to start a podcast up soon. But again, time is not on my side at the moment. On paper, it may sound good, and I really want to get going with it. Yeah, so the podcast I'm trying to do is parenting PKU. So I just want to share our journey, like parenting with a child with PKU, and generally talk about parenting in general, because I feel like that on itself is a ride on its own. But when you throw the mix, you've got a child with PKU, you're on a whole nother roller coaster. So I'd like to, share our knowledge around that if we can. And the website I'm hoping is where I'll be able to put my book on there, but it's taking time. So yeah, I have a couple of things lined up.
Inspiration. Okay, so what inspired you to write Rosey Racoon Has PKU?
So we have a few of the PKU books for children at home, and I was reading them to my daughter, and she just wasn't understanding them. And like, she's 3, and I thought I need to write something that she would understand. I've always been passionate about writing. It is my job. I love to write. I love to create stories. And I always knew from when I had my daughter I was going to write a book. I didn't know when, I didn't know what about as such. And it wasn't until my daughter started asking questions, I thought, I need to write something that she could understand. And I did. I literally sat down and I was listening to the way she would talk and pick up on certain words. And I thought, right, I need to write it in like almost her language as such. So as simple as possible for her to read. And then, yeah, I just sat down one day and I just wrote. And Rosey Racoon happened.
Can you share the main message of the book and what you hope children and families will take away from it?
The main message is a basic description of what PKU is, and that what they're going through is what other kids are going through PKU, that they will all they will be able to understand it. And I was hoping that families that read it and teachers or whoever will just basically understand the basics of it without all the medical lingo in there, because some of the books I've read, they use all these big medical terms. And I was like, my 3-year-old is never going to be able to understand this. So I really made sure to write it so it was understandable for everybody, not just for little children, I mean for everybody. And it's exactly what it's done.
What was the process like creating children's books? Do you face any challenges?
It was a lengthy process. I wanted to do it right. I started writing it January last year, and I took my time. I took advice from people that I knew who had done writing in the past. So I wrote it. I sent it out to people to proofread, to like drafts, to criticize it. I sent it to our doctor. And then I left it for a month. I didn't look at it. Instead, I went searching for an illustrator. I thought, no. And then I went back to it and I tweaked it some more until I was really settled with it. And even till like a week before it was released, we were still tweaking bits with it. With the challenges, it was knowing where to publish it or like advertise it and making sure it was going to the right places as such, because my mission is to try and get into schools and libraries, and this is what we're currently facing, like, and how to get them into those places. And so I'm doing a load of research, just making it known. That's been one of the challenges. It's known in the PKU community, but I want it known further than that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I am Joseph M. Warner, the host of Constitutionalist Politics Podcast. Hoping you will tune in every weekend. Also hoping you will watch for the companion Constitutionalist Politics book, Politics from a Christian-based U.S. constitutionalist perspective. Thank you all. Take care. God bless.
So what is the book intended for, and how do you readers respond to it in so far?
So the age range for the book I said was from 2 to 6. Primarily it's for children with PKU. But again, it started to reach family members of who knows, like, like aunts and uncles have brought the book because their niece has got like PKU. So it's reaching beyond the actual patients, which is brilliant. Like, I'm so pleased with. Parents have been messaging me saying, this is amazing, we really love the book, it's so simple to read, our 3-year-old understands it, my son who's 8 is loving it and wants to read it every night. And it's really heartwarming to see all the lovely messages I've been getting of people just loving the book. I was so nervous they wouldn't like it. But so far it's had really good reviews on Amazon. I've had lots of messages of support. I've had like the doctors congratulating me on it. It's gone down really well, better than what I expected. It got really overwhelming towards when I've released it to get all the feedback back. I was like, oh my word, this is a lot. But now it's settled down. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with all the response. It's the response I exactly wanted. And the main review I wanted from was my daughter, because initially this is who I wrote it for her. So when we sat down and read it, she was like, oh, it's like me. We weigh my food. It's me, Mama. Look, we do bloods. And I was like, yes, we do. Yeah, we do your bloods and we weigh your food. And now she's been reading it on repeat for the last 3 weeks. She even found it on the tablet the other day. I don't know how she's done this. I don't understand how she even found it on the Kindle. But she came running up and she was like, Mama, it's your book. And then now, like, we sit down and like we either read a copy of it or she gets a tablet and we read it on the tablet. But now she'll open the page and she'll be like, Mum, you don't speak. I'll read it. And she's trying to read it word for word and she's memorized the certain points. And it's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted from her. Mm-hmm. And it just proved that what I wrote, she can understand it, which is what I wanted from the start.
Yeah. A lot of times kids will read pictures too if they don't know the words. Yeah. And so it's even more interesting when a child doesn't know how to read because they're telling a different story.
Yeah, it's true. She's not picking up on the words, but she knows the illustrations. And I think there's a page in the book where the family are sitting around eating like dinner together. And she goes, oh, look, they're all eating noodles and like these veggie meatballs and there's peas. Mommy, I don't like peas. No, I don't do that. And I'm like, okay. It's like, it's just in the book. And she's like, no. And then she'll flick through the pages and then at the end she goes, I'm a PKU superhero, Mom. And I'm like, yes, you are. Because
peas are one of the higher ones in protein anyway, of the vegetables.
We've been trying for so long to get her to have peas, just because there's days where she doesn't get all the allowance in. And like, I'm cooking tea and I'm like, if you could just eat like a spoonful of peas, it would answer this problem right now. But no, she won't tolerate it. It took her over a year for her to eat broccoli and now she loves it.
So have you tried putting them in a stew?
Yeah, no, she won't eat it.
Oh.
She's really picky with food. She likes spicy food, though, we've discovered. She loves spicy noodles. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I can work with this. My husband put like a little bit of Tabasco sauce on a mashed potato the other week and she loved it. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe I've been doing this all wrong. Maybe I should have started with the spicy food first.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you see it as a tool to help children with PKU feel understood and empowered?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of one of the goals, so children can use it to something to relate to and, to understand. And I feel it's very important they have something out there that they can recognize to them.
So how do you track statistical information on the book?
Pardon?
How do you track statistical information on the book? Because I don't think Amazon has any statistical.
So on Amazon, because I do for Amazon KDP, I just get notified of how many orders I've done and where in the world I've had the orders from. So that's all I get to see.
Oh. How do you think? How do you see this book contributing to awareness of PKU among children, parents, and even educators?
I'm hoping it will help expand people's knowledge and awareness of PKU. I would really like to see people that don't even know what PKU is to at least see the book and understand it. I'm hoping that if I can get it into schools and libraries, that teachers will be able to use the book as a tool. You know, because when we have like PKU Day, I'm hoping they could read to the class just so everybody knows. I do think it's worth, like, there's nothing more greater than having knowledge. And you never know when you're going to need certain types of knowledge. And I don't think it'll be a bad thing to learn about PKU. So if you can even if I have to show, whoever it is once, like read the book once to a school, but at least that they have heard of it and they can say, yes, I've heard of PKU. So I'm hoping that's what it can do. I'm hoping it can just raise the awareness like I want it to. I just need to push it a bit more.
PKU is common enough that people know about it, mainly because of the heel prick.
It is.
They don't know what it is.
They don't know what it is. When she was first diagnosed, we told people, I was like, huh, what? And my friends were expecting a baby, and they had a baby over here, and they only found out about the PKU because they were told, whereas we wasn't told about it. So I think it's different in every country. So at least this book is a basis of what it is, and it should help people understand it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Do you plan to write more books about or expand it into other forms of advocacy?
I've just started writing my second book. I'm about 3/4 way finished, and then I can get with the drafting and editing and stuff. I have in mind for another 2 or 3 more books after this. And then there's another book I'd like to do about parenting PKU on top of that. So I have plans. I just got to make them work and find the time as well.
Do you plan on? We'll see. See. How has parenting a child with PKU shaped your perspective and your approach to advocacy?
It's opened our eyes a lot, and it's made me want to share the news about PKU a lot more. I feel like if I can mention it to people at least once a day, then I'm quite content. Because I think spreading it is what we need, and just again giving people knowledge about what it is and letting them have an insight into our world. Once people realize what we do in a day, but didn't realize you had to do that all day. Goodness me, that's really hard. I don't know how you do it. And I get told a lot, I don't know how you do it, Danielle. And I was like, I don't know either, I just do it. But that's what keeps me going, is keep pushing the knowledge and the awareness, because it needs to be, people need to know. People need to see this side of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, because otherwise they wouldn't know. Surviving and not thriving in this household at the moment.
Yeah. What advice would you give to other parents navigating rare disease challenges?
I would just say, just don't feel down, don't feel sad when something goes wrong. I don't know, we've had in the past an instance where Elsie ended up eating too much protein one day, and it happened. She's a child, she's going to go diving into foods that she shouldn't be able to eat, but they get curious. And I remember for one day she went through, we had a play date, and she went through this another kid's bag and started to eat their lunch, and I was like, oh no. And I was mortified because she had more protein than what she was allowed to have, and I just beat myself up so bad about it. I felt like it was I should have watched them all. I should have saw her straight away going to the bag. I should have just immediately got a food bag out. And I thought, you know what? No, it happens. Don't beat yourself up about it. And that's what I say to other people. When we message other parents that have just got the diagnosis or they're dealing with a first high level, I'm like, you can be sad about it. You can go through emotions, but it's okay. They will be okay. It happens. You're not the first one, and you're definitely not going to be the last to go through this. And I think that's what I keep telling myself. We're not the first and we're not the last. And it seems to help. But yeah, you can go through emotions. You can have days where you can cry about it. You can have days where you can laugh about it. There was one time, and our daughter ate dog food, and I felt so bad. But I just laughed over it because I thought, you know what? It's going to happen. She's going to do stuff. It's not every day. It was a one-time thing. And thankfully, her levels were actually quite good after the incident. I don't know how, yeah, that was a miracle in itself. Yeah, I just tell people just to go through emotions, to go with it. It comes in waves.
What are your hopes for advancement on PKU research and treatment?
I mean, ideally, I think everybody would agree, would hope for a cure one day. But I don't think that'll be feasible. However, I would like to see a treatment that would expand, like at least increase the protein allowance, even if by double or in a quarter. I'll take a quarter rise in allowance would be brilliant, because it just opens up your world to so much more possibilities, so you don't feel so restricted to what you can have. I'd almost want to say that it makes you think you can breathe a little more, so you're not walking like a tightrope as such. Yeah, I hope we continue with the research we're doing, and that we can eventually have a treatment out there that improves their quality of life as such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do have one that's currently, I believe it's already approved for PKU. It's pegtibatinase.
Okay.
That has, but they're testing it with tyrosinemia and homocystinuria, which is my condition. And it has been raised. It has raised protein levels for most people.
Well, that's good. That's what we need.
Yeah. So much so that the people who are on the drug don't have to follow the low protein diet very much anymore.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I have pretty good faith it's going to go to it'll go to market for us too.
That's good. This is what makes me scared a little bit. I hear all about these like potential new drugs coming, being trialed and tested and stuff, and they sound really good, but it's just getting them to market.
Yeah, it's an injection. So
yeah, I'm like, I really hope they can get, past that final stage and into market, because if not, then we're not going any further forward. So I hope
testing it in children though, so
that'll be good. Fingers crossed.
When they're testing it in children, it's always a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that.
Where do you see yourself in the future, as both an advocate and an author?
Hopefully a little less stressed. Hopefully definitely a lot more knowledgeable about PKU. As I say, every day is a learning day. Ideally, I like to see myself have a good collection of books written around PKU and just broaden everybody's knowledge. That'll be my main goal, is the writing aspect, because it's what I do, it's what I enjoy. I don't know, really. Everything changes from year to year, but yeah, I would say hopefully keep writing more books.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Rare Connection. A special thank you to Danielle for sharing her journey with and for writing such an important and health and heartwarming book. Rosey the Raccoon Has PKU. Remember, you can find her book on Amazon for $17.86 in the UK and $12.89 in the US. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe to both my podcast, Rare Connection, and my YouTube channel, Rare Chef, where I share cooking videos designed with rare diseases and designed for the rare disease community in mind. For audio listeners, you can find the links to connect with me in the show notes. They can send me a text message through the fan mail. You can also, if you feel so choose to, you can also donate through the support the show link in the show notes on the audio side. I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. There is a any contributions made will go towards the nonprofit that I'm trying to start. I'm working hard to establish. Please note the donations are not yet tax deductible, as I am not, as I am still in the process of securing the 501c3 status. I'm actively seeking board members. I got through that part. Leslie, I want to remind everyone of the importance of mental health. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help. In the US, you can call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988 for free. It's free, confidential, and support is available 24/7. Thank you again for listening to for supporting this journey and being part of Rare Connection community. Together we can make a difference. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.